It's a great day. My name is Jay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue-focused late-night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to inspire. Our mission is to empower. And our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you will call to serve it. On this particular episode, we have the one and only Natalie Williams, who's in the building. And she'll be talking about the core method guide, the guide to purpose-driven results. What's going on, Natalie? How are you?
Hi, Shay. How are you? Hello, everyone. Excited to be here.
We're excited to have you here because you're talking about a very important subject. They can all read the subject. They can go back and see your bio in a moment, but talking about the guide to purpose-driven results. Now, I'm curious, if someone is in their purpose, let's assume they know what that is. We'll come back to that in a minute. Why are folks struggling to get results in the area that they were designed and wanted to do? It seems like an oxymoron to me, but talk about that. Why are people struggling today to get results in the area that they feel is their purpose?
Well, I think just like anything that we do in life, we're never going to be free from struggles. There will always be struggles, obstacles, challenges that you will be faced with. But what's important, if you understand and you have identified your purpose in this life, you understand your identity, why you were placed here on this earth, and you are committed to the cause and you're committed to being successful, then just like anything else, it is a journey. It is not a race. And so it's really important. What I certainly see from some of my clients, they're clear about who they are. They're very intentional around the actions that they're going to take. But oftentimes they're stifled in progress because they're kind of stuck in their own heads and they're waiting for perfection. And that need or that yearning for wanting things to line up as quickly, as efficiently as possible, everyone has that. But what's important is that even if it's not perfect, you still should be taking steps to move yourself forward. So once you realize who you are in success, but also understand who you are in failure, you learn from those failures, you learn from those mistakes, and don't allow that to stifle progress. I believe that's when you can fully move yourself forward and be successful. So the #1 challenge that I see is that folks are stifled in progress because they're waiting for perfection versus just taking that next step, that first step.
And I love it. And I know you wrote a book, ladies and gentlemen. I have a copy of the book. You don't have a copy of the book, but I have a copy of the book. Some of you have a copy of the book. Mine is signed for the record, by the way. I don't know if you can see that, but mine is signed for the record. I'm very proud of that. And the reason I bring the book up, because she wrote a whole book on the core method, right? And here's what's pretty cool. The first question I have to ask, and I think it was in chapter 1, because you might be curious, what is Natalie's definition of purpose, right? Some of you are out there, and I know there's maybe at least 2 questions going through my head. First, hey, Natalie, what is purpose these days? Can you give us at least your definition so we can have a definition of purpose? And if I'm someone listening and I don't know my purpose, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, she can handle a 2-part question. And I'm someone and I don't understand my purpose, like, what should I do? And if that's you, this is a good time to lean in.
Yes. Well, first I want to say purpose is fundamental to the human experience. So everything that we do in life, every step that you take, every action that you take, there is purpose and meaning behind it. There is a reason why you are doing the things that you are doing. And ultimately what you want to have occur is that you are able to fulfill the outcome or achieve the outcome that you were looking for. So first, I just want to say that purpose is fundamental to the human experience. Everyone has an opportunity to fulfill their purpose. Everything that you do has a purpose and intent. When I define purpose as that thing that you do that connects to your identity, that makes you tick, that makes you happy. It doesn't feel like work. It is truly what defines you as a human being. And you take every step to align every opportunity, resource, person, network to ensure that you're able to fulfill and get closer to ultimately what it is that you want out of this life. So whether that is a career within a corporate environment, whether that is being an entrepreneur, whether it's an author or writer, whatever that might be, you need to be connected and understand your identity. And so I believe that purpose is that moment where you have an opportunity to journey along in life and fulfill everything that your heart desires and that you yearn for. And you're aligning all of your resources and activities to ensure that you're able to accomplish that. That's how I define purpose. And when you're locked into that, that's where it becomes a lot easier to overcome challenges, barriers. Perhaps you're not exactly where you want to be, but because you're very clear and intentional around who you are and what you want to accomplish in life, that's what fuels your drive and your mission to get things done.
And for the person that's listening, they say, okay, where do I start? I don't know my purpose. And we'll talk to two individuals. First, we want to talk to the person that's just, there's like, how do I even determine? Well, you kind of mentioned what their purpose is. Is there a step that they could take, a step 1, step 2, and step 3 towards at least making sure they're in their purpose or stepping into it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what the core method is all about. So one, I started my career at the age of 19 years old. I was a single mother at the time. I had my first child on my 18th birthday. I didn't have any formal education at the time. I was a high school dropout. Now, I went back, I've earned all of my education. I have a master's degree in public administration. I spent 24 years within a corporate environment as an executive for a Fortune 20 organization. But the only way that I was able to overcome those challenges in life that I experienced is one, I was very much so motivated by ensuring that I was in a position to serve others. So I believe my purpose on this earth is to serve. And so I leverage every platform, every opportunity that I have to serve others. That's the reason why I do that. How I identify that was truly what the core method talks about. So one, the core method is a 4-part framework. It's all about one, clarity, having clarity in who you are, doing the work to understand your identity. Why do you want the things that you want? And perhaps when you actually attain what it is that you're looking for, what are those next steps for you? So one, having clarity. You need to be very clear and intentional about who you are. And then two, being able to communicate that in the spaces, in the rooms, to the people who matter. That's how you move yourself forward. The second part of the framework is all about optimization. So optimizing all of your resources. One, practicing a growth mindset, flourishing in the mindset of having optimism, making sure that you're optimistic about everything that you're encountering. 3 is all around reflection. So taking a moment, life comes at us pretty fast, right? You'll look up, it's 5 years later. You had all of these great plans and you're looking up wondering like, what happened? How did 5 years go by? And so really being very intentional and taking a moment to reflect again on who you are in positive circumstances, perhaps circumstances that may not necessarily be working in your favor, but you need to reflect and understand who you are in success and also understand who you are in failure. What behaviors do you need to continue to replicate? And perhaps what do you need to pull out of the environment to ensure that you're successful? And then the last part of the framework is all about execution. So it doesn't matter what you dream up that you're going to do. It doesn't matter what you say you're going to do. What matters is what you actually do, the actions that you take, the intentional actions that you take. So mastering the art of execution. So that 4-part framework, really, when you pull all of that together, and I talk a lot about making sure that you take time out for yourself and reflect on who you are, right? Taking those mental breaks. I talk a lot about goal setting and what's the appropriate way to set goals and ensure that you're celebrating small wins along the way so you're placing yourself in position to execute. And so that 4-part framework, I believe, and that's what I've utilized in my life. I've utilized it with all of the teams. I've had great success over the course of my career. But even in those moments when I was driving revenue and growth for another organization, I understood that those results could not be achieved if it were not achieved through people. And so I've always made sure that I've utilized this framework with my teams to coach them around how do you ensure that, yes, you achieve the goals here for this organization, but also that you're achieving the goals for yourself in life as well.
As you were talking about achieving the goals you want for your life, and you was talking about the path, and ladies and gentlemen, you just got a crash course on the core method. That was very nice of her. I know she's going to do that, but thank you so much. That was super amazing, by the way. And, I'm thinking, what happens to the person whose purpose shifts over time? Do they just gradually go in and out of here? Because, I'm different today. I used to be a young whippersnapper, by the way, no kids, never married. And I just had this whole purpose to go make money in life. And then I got married, then I got divorced, then I got married, then I got divorced. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I'm on my third marriage right now. Very, very happy. We've been together 15 years. Life is good. But now I'm also a grandpa, believe it or not, or whatever, papa, hoppa, whatever they call me. And I've got a granddaughter on the way. So I guess my question to you, and I might be the only one that goes to these, seems like cycles of life. Does the purpose shift? Can you have multiple purposes along this journey? Talk a little bit about that if you can for the folks like myself that are just curious.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? And that life has tremendous ebbs and flows. What I believe stays true to your core, though, is your identity, like who you are, what's important to you, why are those things important to you? And of course, as you have different life events, what is important to you may shift or change. And that's one reason why I started this conversation with, life is a journey. Identifying, understanding your purpose is a journey. The only thing that you can control in this life is yourself, right? The only thing you can control are the actions that you decide to take, what you decide to do as these kind of ebbs and flows continue to impact our lives and what we continue to focus on. And so I do believe, I believe, yes, absolutely. Can there be life experiences, circumstances that occur that may shift you along your course? Absolutely, that will definitely happen. You may find that you have interest in other places, but fundamentally, who you are is who you are, right? Your identity and how you show up each and every day, how much work you're willing to put in, how much effort you're willing to put in, the attitude that you have. You can continue to coach yourself so that you can have a better frame of reference. But what's really important is to understand, and what you hold true to is that life is a journey. It's important that you reflect and understand who you are at each point in that journey so that you're able to deliver what you intend to deliver. But yes, absolutely, Shay. I believe that, because life is a journey, can your purpose shift? Can you shift where your priorities are? Absolutely. And I would expect that you would do that. But what's important is that you recognize that, right? That you
Yeah.
recognize when there is a time for change and that you navigate that change in a manner that is really conducive to who you are as an individual.
I love it. And when I got the book and I saw the core method inside of it, and I saw the numbers, I was in the outline at the beginning. I skipped to the end, ladies and gentlemen, because I saw execution. And one of the things that I struggle with sometimes is consistency. And you may have heard this before, that consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. And having said that, what do most people struggle with most? At least I do. Consistency, right? So my question is, on the execution piece that you have, what do you share with audiences and clients and organizations you work with, where after they get the Holy Ghost? Well, I shouldn't say that, because I grew up, everything I learned in a Pentecostal church. Don't nobody judge me out there. My mom was a bishop, okay? And back in the 70s, when it wasn't popular being a bishop as a woman, okay? But as people get excited and they get going and they want to execute and they fall off the bandwagon, my question is, on the execution side, what do you recommend so they can be consistent and not just think about it and believe it and dream it, but actually be consistent in their actions?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one, you have to have a very clear vision for what success looks like for you, right? And so everyone will have their opinions about what success looks like based on their own individual lived experiences. And that is okay. You will get a lot of feedback. There will be a lot of noise around you. And that's the reason why I believe it's so important to start with, when it's all said and done, what does success look like? How do you define success? And I think the more that you refine, the more that you define and you have your definition and a clear vision around what success is for you, what success means to you, then what are the actions that will be necessary? What needs to be true in order for you to achieve that success? That's when you're in a position to execute effectively. One, having a plan, when you're clear about what success looks out like for you, establishing the plan in terms of what actions, what activities do you need to incorporate into your plan in order to be successful. Those are the steps. Those are the things that when you pull it all together, that's how you place yourself in a position to execute. So, I continue to repeat this until it soaks in. I think most people understand it, in that life is not free from barriers, challenges, pauses. We are all humans. We all share human emotions. Will there be moments of disappointment when you're not able to accomplish everything that you initially set out for? Of course. But instead of being disappointed and allowing that moment to stifle progress, you could turn that around and really think about, how do I learn from these moments where perhaps I defined what success looked like for me. I have a plan for how I'm going to get on this particular path or journey, but it's not necessarily working out the way that I intended for it to work out. Or those are the moments where you need to lean in and learn from what's happening around you. So, again, I think it's just important. One, you have to define what success looks like for you. Be very clear about what success looks like for you. And then you put the plan in place to ensure that you're on track to get to where you're wanting to be.
I love it because that's a perfect segue to one of the segments we have here. And the segment is called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks who are tuning in or tuning in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know what we're about to do. You get to say those magical words, and that is today. That's right. Today, in this moment, is my January 1st. And for all the new folks who are watching for the very first time, we want to welcome you to the Happy Entrepreneur Show family. We're really glad you're here. Today is my January 1st is our personal mantra. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is or how bright and sunny that past is, the past no longer equals our future. And so my question to Natalie on the other side is, when you hear those words, two parts, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And number two, what was another moment that you had in your life where there was a challenge, there was a setback, and how did you bounce back from it?
Yes, yes. When I hear today is my January 1st, I hear that there are unlimited possibilities for the future. That's what it means for me when I hear that. And for me in life, I share the story of, my background and how I got to this particular point. And so, of course, I've been faced with a lot of different adversities. I've had an opportunity to start over and have a January 1st many times over the course of my life. But probably the most recent example that I can think of, I mentioned that, I walked away from a career of 24 years. It's all that I've known. I started at the age of 19 years old. I was very successful in that career. But June the 30th of 2023 was my last day within that environment. And that very next week, so I'm a caretaker for my mother as well. I've been caring for my mother for a little bit, almost 10 years now at this point. And the next week after my June 30th last day with my previous employer, we were on vacation and my mother had a life-changing, life-altering accident. She fell, she broke three places in her ankle. She was sick, so it turned out, she had COVID, she had pneumonia, she had a lot of things going on. My mother had a heart valve replacement. I can kind of go on and on about the circumstances of her health, but that particular incident, it changed everything, right? And so here, I walked away from this career with these great plans of being an entrepreneur. I was in the midst of writing the book, finalizing the book. I just started the business. I had this whole plan, dates, timelines for all of the things that I was going to be doing. And then all of a sudden, this life event happens that obviously I had no control over. And now I'm having to figure out, okay, now what? And so for me, it was this kind of like aha moment in that, I had to reflect a lot. One, I recognized that because I had been in my career for so long, I had been with the same employer for so long and at such a young age, to some extent, my identity was this corporate function that I was in, this corporate role that I held. And I don't take anything away from the experiences that I had, but what became very clear, like my light bulb January 1st moment, was that, look, everything that you've been through, everything that has occurred with you, everything that you've achieved has absolutely prepared you for this moment that you're in right now. So even though, things did not necessarily go as planned because of this life event, what I understood was, this is my opportunity to reinvent and take everything that I have learned and start anew and get everything done that I want to have done. And so, I shared that story as my January 1st moment because, I could have easily allowed this situation that I had no control over to keep me from moving forward. I could have easily given up. I could have said, hey, this just isn't the time. Let me go back into a corporate environment. Let me find something else and let me put my dreams on the back burner. But instead, I decided, you know what? I'm going to pull my big girl pants on and I'm going to do this. And regardless of what I do control in this situation is me. And so that's probably been the most enlightening time of my entire life, like truly, Shay, like truly, to have to experience that over the course of the last year, but not allowing that to keep me from doing what it was that ultimately I wanted to do. And so that was my January 1st moment.
Thanks so much for sharing, and thanks for being transparent. And congratulations for being a caregiver. I've been doing it for Mother Dear now for about the last 3 years. So, I know what it takes. So, shout outs to you and all you do as well, and to be in a position to be able to do that. That's pretty cool.
Yes, yes, it is. It is.
What's one of the things, what do you enjoy most about what you're doing now? I mean, you've written the book, you get to work with organizations. What do you enjoy most about what you do right now?
It's people, right? So
Yeah.
it's loving the good, bad, and indifferent of people. I mentioned that when I had this aha moment around my January 1st moment, that I kind of thought about, wow, my career has been my entire like identity. And one thing that I reflected on was that while I was in this corporate space, I should have been more intentional around how I marketed my brand externally to that organization. The networks that I created outside of my work environment. And what's been super cool and super fun about this experience is that I have been able to meet people from all walks of life, great folks who are doing great things in the community. I've been able to find synergies where I can partner with people and help them with their work while they're helping me with my work. And then I think most of all, being able to see folks, especially as a coach. So, I'm a life coach, I'm an executive coach as well. I focus a lot on professional development with my clients. And so being able to see me take this framework of the core method and work with clients and see them being able to pull their strategies together for how they're going to get closer connected to their purpose and deliver the results that they want to deliver, and getting that feedback around the experiences that they're having, like there's nothing better than that. So, I am a truth teller and a truth seeker. And so being in a position where I can exercise that muscle and help people see the truth and who they are and actions that they need to take, like that, I wouldn't trade that for anything. So it's truly been just getting to know people, seeing people thrive, seeing folks execute, get results. Like that's been the best part of the journey.
One of the questions I like to ask, and I'm glad you shared that, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I always frame it for the audience so they understand you've had a lot of mentors along this journey of life. You've read countless books. I don't know how many videos and reels and whatever's on social media you looked at and hours you spent on YouTube. But if you had to step back and say, wow, Shay, this is one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever been given, and here's why, what would you share with the audience?
The best advice that I would, so, while I was in my career, oftentimes I would have folks, in my ear saying to me, here's what I think your next step should be. Here's the next role I think you should go after. Like, I see you here. And some people are very intentional around trying to orchestrate and pull the strings to get me to where they saw me being. And, I had a leader one time that gave me some advice and said, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to give you advice around where they see you. And oftentimes they might be giving you this advice. And maybe it's not intentionally to be selfish, but selfishly, they could utilize your skill set to help their organization and move their organization forward. And so when you have all this noise around you, it can be hard to make a decision for yourself. And so they encourage me to lean into ultimately what I want. What is it that I want? Where do I see my skill set best utilized and how it's going to get me on the path for what I want in the future? And so that was probably the best, especially when you're young in your career, you can almost be a people pleaser in some instances. You believe that, well, if I don't take this direction or if I don't take this particular set of advice, that perhaps this may set me back in my career or something like that. And I will say that as soon as I got very clear about, well, I am flattered by, the feedback and what you suggested I should do, but here is what I would like to do. Here are the steps that I'm going to take to get there. And hey, here's what I need from you in order to get there. When I became transparent in that manner, communicated in that way, and stay true to what it is that I wanted versus what everyone else said I should be doing, That's when I was at my happiest places. So that's the advice that I would give to anyone is that, of course, are you going to have counsel? Will you have mentors? Will you have people around you that will share an array of feedback? Sure. Is constructive criticism, is that a great thing to have? Sure. And take all of that in, but be very clear about what it is that you want and don't sacrifice your wants and your needs perhaps because you're concerned about what someone else might think. So just stay true to who you are and execute on what it is that you want out of this life.
Oh, I love it, by the way. As we come down the home stretch, well, before we come down the home stretch, I'm always curious, what do you do for fun? We're not out saving the world and making a difference and talking about core and talking about purpose and driven and goals and so forth. What do you do for fun these days?
I love music. So, I am in the Atlanta metropolitan area, and pretty much any concert that is out there is going to make their stop here. And so I love music. I love being at concerts and having fun. I love that. I love sports also. So I am an Atlanta Falcons fan. Go Falcons. And so
Is nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Yeah.
you live in Atlanta. You should be an Atlanta Falcons fan. Is there
Yes.
any one genre of music that's your favorite, or any one artist that you've seen recently that you're like, wow, that was pretty cool?
Yeah, I love R&B, of course. I love hip
Yeah.
hop also. So, and I'm really into 90s hip hop. So,
Okay. Are you
anything.
kind of gravitating toward country now? I found myself because of Beyonce recently. I know it's not about Beyonce, but listen to more country than I probably ever have in my whole life.
No, no. It didn't. It had that same effect. Or be though very proud, of course, of all of the accomplishments. I mean, this is major. That's not my cup of tea.
Love it. I love it. Well, two last questions. We come down to home stretch. Two-part question. Number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days, if any? And number two, how can people stay in contact with you over and beyond today?
So, you can always visit my website. That's www.thecoremethodllc.com. I'm on every social media platform. So, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook as Natalie R. Williams. So, you can always find me there. And if you want to click on the link in my bio, that'll also take you to my link tree with all of the events that I have coming up, and also all of my website information as well. So if you want to find me, you can certainly find me. I'm out there, Natalie R. Williams.
Yeah. Well, let me say two things. Number one, thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate it. Can't wait to see you again. You and I haven't had a chance to meet face to face, eye to eye. Can't wait to connect with you again. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me, Shay. It was great.
And thank you to the audience. Thank you for tuning in. Without you, we realize there is no show. So every time you watch, we appreciate it. Yeah, it's kind of cool when you hit a like button, but we really appreciate when you hit the share button. When you pay this message forward to someone else so their life can be better, their business can be better, or just their community can be better as a result of this message. So thanks for showing up. Thanks for who you are. Never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that you really, as you're watching right now, you're a special, incredible, amazing human being that's doing some incredible things. And as you're watching right now, and I believe no matter what you're going through or how well you're doing, that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name hasn't changed. Still Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone, and we'll make some good things out. We connect again next time. God bless. Wish you success. Bye-bye, Natalie. Peace.
Bye.